Alright, this is page 48 in our journal, and what you need for today's journal is, of course, a pencil, and then you need graph paper. So if you need to go ahead and pause this video right now to get the graph paper, you can do that. If not, we're going to go ahead and get started. So the title of this is Transformations on the coordinate grid. Oh, on the coordinate plane, sorry. Now, as always, if you would rather come pick up this foldable, rather than actually drawing it out, that's okay. Just let me know. I'll leave it up front for you to pick up. So our first one we're going to look at is translation. And a translation is a slide. You can remember that because it's got SL in the translation and SL. It's where we're just going to slide it. Alright, so here is our first graph that you need to graph. So on your graph paper, grid that, and go ahead and pause the video. And go ahead and pause the video, go ahead and draw it. And then I'm going to cut it out and put it in mine. Cut it out, glue it in, and then we'll go over it together. Alright, so by now you should have already drawn that figure. Hopefully you did it. I'm going to glue mine in. I'm just taking our griddable we have and cutting it up into little pieces. I mean, not our griddable, our foldable. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to translate it 5 to the left and 3 down. Alright, so I'm going to start with each of my points. I have A, and point A's point is 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 0.25. And so when I go 5 to the left with it, so I start where it's at, and I'm going to go 5 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 3 down. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to put a dot. And we're going to label it. Now, for now, I'm just going to label it A. And let's talk about that. If I labeled it just A, let's say we did this one in pencil, we did this one in pencil. If I label it just A, can I tell you which one I started with and which one I didn't? No. We can now because we're doing it, but if I was just looking at this, so we put a little apostrophe after it, saying that is A prime. It is now our new A. And so we're going to see that our A prime is negative 1, 2, 3, negative 3, positive 2. Let's look at our B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we want to see what B prime is going to be. So I'm going to go to the left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And down 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to label it B prime. That point is 0 because the exit didn't go left or right. I just had to go on the y-axis 1. Alright, then let's look at our C. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 1. And we're going to go 5 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And down 3. 1, 2, 3. And put a dot. Label it C prime. Now you may be saying to yourself, this is somewhat familiar, and it should be. Because you actually learned this, I think in 5th grade is when you last learned transformations. And so this is supposed to be just a review, today's lesson. So I know it's been a while since 5th or 6th grade. I know it's not 7th grade, it's either 5th or 6th. Alright, so our D is 1, negative 2. And if I go left 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down 3, There's my D. My D prime is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So -4, -5. Alright. We're going to ask ourselves two things. We're going to ask ourselves, does this preserve congruence? Sorry, I forgot that word. That word was orientation. So congruence means it's the same size. And so I look at it and I say, okay, did it keep its same size? Yeah, BC is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are the same size. And orientation means, did it keep its same direction? And you can see that it went A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. So yes, it kept its same orientation. We will look at an example of where it doesn't keep its orientation, and that should make a little bit more sense. All right, so the next one I want you to draw is this one. So I want you to pause the video, and I want you to draw this shape, and then we're going to go over it together and push play when you're done. All right, so this one we're going to go 6 to the right and 2 up. So I'm going to start with my A. So A is -1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -1, 2, 3, 4. So -5, -4. Then we're going to go 6 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 2 up. So it's A prime. So A prime is 1, -2. B is -1, -2, +2. So I'm going to go 6 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 2 up. 1, 2. That becomes my B prime. So B prime is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. And then let's look at our C. So C is -2. 1, 2, 3, 4. -4. And C prime, so I'm going to go 6 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 2 up. And C prime becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, -2. Trace my shape. And again, because it's a translation, my size is the same, so it does preserve congruence. So preserve congruence. Question here. Yes. And does it preserve its orientation? And that means, is it going in the same direction as it was before? So A, B, C, A, B, C. And so yes. All right. So the next one we're going to look at, that we're going to review over, is a reflection. So I'm actually going to draw a little squiggly line here. And I'm going to put my reflection on the left side. So I'm going to put reflection. And I'm going to put the graph up you need to draw. Alright, this is the one you need to graph, and I'm actually going to come over here. I'm going to label it as number 3. Our numbers are going to be a little bit different than order. Okay, so once you pause this video, I want you to push play once you have this one drawn. Alright, so you should already have it drawn. It's asked us to reflect over the x-axis. Alright, so what we're going to do is, if you have a marker or colored pen or a highlighter, I'm using a highlighter, I'm going to highlight my x-axis. So here's my x-axis. I'm going to highlight it. That's the line I'm going over. So I'm going to start with my A. And point A is negative 1, 2, 3, 4. So negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 away from this line. So on the same line, it's going to be 5 away on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's my A prime. It's still on the negative 4, but now it's on negative 5. Let's look at our B. Our B is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4 away from my pink line, so it's going to be on the same line, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to be my B prime. So B prime is 4, negative 4. C is at 2, 1. So it's 1 away, so it'll be 1 away here. So it's 2, negative 1. Draw my shape. Alright, so we're going to ask ourselves, does it preserve congruence? Well, let's look. We can just visually see it, but since this is a little bit harder, I'm going to use what's called patty paper. You do not have to order patty paper. It's P-A-T-T-Y. It's actually what restaurants use to put between hamburger patties. But if you want something like this, if you just get some wax paper, notebook paper works really well too. You just sometimes have to write a little bit darker so it shows through. But you can see patty paper is completely see-through. If you use wax paper, there's a waxy side usually and a non-waxy side. If you want some patty paper, just let me know and I'll send some home with you because it's a pretty cool little thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace my A, B, and C, my triangle. And all I'm doing right now is seeing if it's the same size. So I'm going to flip it over and I can see that they line up perfectly. So yes, its congruence is preserved. I can also look at reflections on this. So there's that, but I need to draw my X and Y axis. And so when I flip it, I want my axes to still line up. And I can see that these line up decently because I did not do a good job drawing it. So our next one is preserving orientation. Preserving orientation. So I can see that when I go clockwise, it's A, B, C. When I come down to A, it does not go clockwise. A, C, B. So this does not preserve orientation because orientation is it's going in the same direction. Our letters are going the same way. So A, C, B, A, B, C are not going the same. So it did not preserve our orientation. All right, our fourth one that we need to graph, you are doing 6 of these, by the way. Yes, we will have room for 6 of these on here. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Okay, we're going to label this one number 4. And I'm going to pause this video. You need to pause this video, and I want you to push play after you have drawn it. All right, so hopefully you drew it already. I hope so. That's example 4. Okay, number 4. And this one's going to go over our y-axis. Okay, so something we didn't do at the beginning is I want you to circle the FL in reflection. And a reflection is a flip. So we're going to be flipping these. So sorry for that. Make you go back. Alright, so I'm going to highlight my y-axis. And it's good to know my x and y-axis from each other. And point A is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, negative 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, positive 4. And so I'm going to go across this y-axis. So I'm going to see how far away it is from the pink line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's my A prime. Alright, so let's see where my A prime is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's positive 6. Sorry, my phone is right on it. Okay, it's buzzing. Alright, let's look at B. So B is 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So negative 3, positive 4. 1, 2, 3 away from pink line. So 1, 2, 3 away from pink line again. B prime. B prime is the coordinate 3, 4. C is the point negative 1, negative 2. It's 1 away from the pink line, so it's going to be 1 away here. So my C prime is 1, negative 2. D, my point D is 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 2. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 away, so 1, 2, 3, 4 away again. So that point is 4, negative 2. Now some of you may be good at, oh sorry, this should have been negative 4, negative 2, and this point is 4, negative 2. I'm going to draw it. So I'm going to ask myself the same questions. Does it preserve congruence? Yes, they are the same size. Does it preserve orientation? So this one going clockwise goes A, B, C, D. This one going clockwise, starting at A, goes A, D, C, B. So no, it did not. Draw a squiggly line under it. Our last one that we're going to look at is rotation, which is a turn. I always think of that song, turn. Sorry, I'm not good for this. Alright, and so the graph that you need to draw, I'm going to call it number 5. Looks like that. So I want you to pause your video, and I want you to draw graph number 5, and I want you to push play when you're done with it. Alright, so hopefully you drew it. To me, rotation is one of the hardest ones to do by hand. And so I'm going to teach you how to do it by hand, and then we're going to show why patty paper is such a good thing. So it's telling me that it's a 90-degree turn clockwise. It's going to be important around the origin. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to be doing a clockwise turn. So clockwise is going this direction. So I'm going to draw a little arrow showing it's going to go that direction. Okay, that's what clockwise means. And 90 degrees is a right angle. Okay, so I'm going to start with AD because it's in the easiest position. I'm going to draw this figure first, then we're going to do the point. So I'm going to take this piece right here, and I'm going to turn it 90 same point, and this one is A prime. From A, it went up 1 and 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to look at it sideways, and it's going to go up 1 and 1, 2, 3 to get my B prime. C, to get the C, it's just going to go from B, it's going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So down 1, 2, 3, 4 to get my C prime. And there we go, it finished out my shape. I know that goes a little, it's pretty, I think it's difficult. I don't always, so I'm going to show you how to do it with pattern paper. Pattern paper is so cool. So I'm going to draw my axes. I'm actually going to highlight my axes because for those of you watching this on the video, sorry, I have my email set to my phone and going off like crazy. Okay, so there's my axis, and here's my shape. I'm going to show you a little trick. I'm labeling my points. So you can see when I take it off, I have that shape done. And it's going to go around the origin. So I'm going to put my pencil at the origin because that's where I'm rotating about. And I'm going to rotate it going this way because that's what clockwise is. And 90 degrees is from one axis to the next axis. And then what I do is I gently poke holes in each of those coordinates. I'm going to show you how. Poke a hole in the A, poke a hole in the B, poke a hole in the C, poke a hole in the D. And so when I do my rotation from one axis to the next axis, I already have holes, so I can just draw my dots in those holes I just punctured. So my A here was 1, 2, 3, 4, so 0, 4. My B on my original was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My C original was 3, 1. My D original was 0, 0. So my A prime is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. My B prime is now 5, negative 3. My C prime is now 1, negative 3. My B prime stayed at 0, 0. So we're going to ask ourselves, does this preserve congruence? Are those the same size? Yes. Does it preserve orientation? Orientation is the harder one for people to see. So look, it went, I start at my A, and if I go clockwise, A, B, C, D. With my A, B, C, D. So yeah, it still went the same direction. Last one, oh, we're going to label this number 5. The last graph, we have one more graph, and we are done. I know this was kind of a long video, but here is our graph number 6. I want you to pause the video, go ahead and draw that figure out. I know it's harder when you have to draw it. You can always come pick up the the foldables. Pause it and push play when you're done drawing it. Alright, so hopefully you redrew it. I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to label this number 1, number 2, and this is now number 6. And I know we went 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. And this is still rotation, so I'm just going to draw arrows back and forth so I know that those are both rotations. So for this rotation, we're 180 degrees. And this one actually already gave us our coordinates, which that's pretty nice. 1, 0, 3, 3, 5, 0. Alright, so we're going to rotate it 180 degrees. Now the reason it doesn't tell us a direction for 180, because no matter which way I turn it for 180, it's going to be the same way. A 90-degree turn was right angles. If I add two right angles together, it's just going to make 180. Okay, so we're going to try to do this by hand. And I'm going to do it with patty paper. Alright, so my AC, I always pick one that's along that axis if I can. And it's going to go, Alright, so here's our AC. If I rotate it 90 degrees, it would be on this axis. If I rotated another 90, which is 180, it would be on this axis. So there's my A prime. 1, 2, 3, 4 long. There's my C prime. And then it went up 1, 2, 3 over 2. So up 3. Straight at my A. So up 1, 2, 3 over 2. And there's my B. Again, I said this would be a lot easier on with a piece of patty paper. A, B, C. Rotate it. There's 90. And there's 180. So my A prime is -1, 0. My B prime is negative, let's see. Sorry, I had a glitch there. So B is -1, 2, 3, -3. So -3, -3. C is -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -0. I want to know, does it preserve congruence? Well, are they the same size? Yes. Does it preserve orientation? Well, A, B, C, clockwise. A, B, C. So yes. So we saw that translation preserved congruence and orientation, and it's a slide. We saw that reflection, when I flip it, it kept its same size, but it did not keep its orientation. And then we saw on rotations on the turns that it also kept congruence and orientation. This is kind of a review. I know that orientation and congruence is new, but we'll talk more about it. If you have any questions, please send them my way. I know this was a long video, but hopefully you got it all down.